The crushing critique. The afternoon light streaming through the gallery windows should have felt hopeful, but Isabel Chen's stomach was twisted in knots as she watched Daniel Rothschild examine the final piece in her collection. She'd spent 6 months preparing for this moment. 6 months of early mornings and late nights, paint under her fingernails, aching shoulders from hours at the easel, pouring every ounce of her soul into 24 canvases that represented her evolution as an artist. Daniel stood before her largest work, a sprawling, abstract piece she'd titled Metamorphosis, his expression unreadable. As owner of the Rothschild Gallery, one of the most prestigious spaces in the city, his opinion could make or break an emerging artist's career. As her boyfriend of 2 years, his opinion meant everything. "Well?" Isabel finally asked, unable to bear the silence any longer. "What do you think?" Daniel stepped back, crossing his arms over his chest, a gesture Isabel had learned meant he was preparing to deliver bad news. Her heart sank before he even opened his mouth. "Isabel, I'm going to be honest with you because I care about you. This work is careless." The word hit her like a physical blow. "Careless? Your technique is sloppy in places, the color theory is inconsistent, and this piece," he gestured to Metamorphosis, "it's trying to say too much and ends up saying nothing at all. It's unfocused, scattered, like you weren't sure what you were trying to convey." Isabel felt her face flush with humiliation. "Daniel, I spent 3 months on that piece alone. Every brushstroke was intentional, every color choice deliberate." "Intent doesn't matter if the execution is flawed," Daniel interrupted, moving to examine another canvas. "Look at this one. The composition is amateur, the perspective is off. Isabel, you have potential, but you're rushing. You're not ready for a serious exhibition." Each word was another crack in the foundation of Isabel's confidence. She'd been so proud of this collection, had poured not just technical skill, but genuine emotion into every piece. To hear it dismissed so thoroughly was devastating. "I thought you believed in my work," she said quietly, hating how her voice trembled. Daniel's expression softened slightly, and he approached her, placing what was probably meant to be a comforting hand on her shoulder. "I believe in you, which is why I'm being honest rather than coddling you. If I put this collection in my gallery right now, the critics would tear it apart. They'd say I was showing favoritism because we're dating. I won't do that to either of us." "So all these months, all this work, it's just not good enough." Isabel felt tears threatening and blinked them back furiously. She wouldn't cry, not here, not in front of him. "Not yet," Daniel said, his tone suggesting he was being kind. "You need more time to develop your voice, refine your technique. Maybe in another year or 2 you'll be ready for the Rothschild Gallery. But right now, this is careless work, Isabel, and I can't stake my gallery's reputation on carelessness." The words echoed in Isabel's mind. Careless. As if the 6 months of dedication, the sacrifices, the hundreds of hours of work were nothing more than thoughtless dabbling. She'd skipped social events, turned down freelance work, poured her savings into supplies, all for this moment. And Daniel was telling her it wasn't enough. "I see," Isabel said, stepping back from his touch. "Thank you for your honesty." "Isabel, don't be upset. This is part of the process. Every artist faces rejection." "I'm not just any artist to you, Daniel. I'm your girlfriend. I thought—" She paused, trying to gather her thoughts. "I thought you saw something in my work. That's why I've been working so hard, to prove I could create something worthy of your gallery, worthy of you." Daniel sighed, running a hand through his perfectly styled hair. "You don't need to prove anything to me. I love you regardless of your art career." The statement should have been comforting, but something in the way he said it, dismissive, almost patronizing, made Isabel's chest tighten further. "But you don't respect my work," she said, and it wasn't a question. "I respect you," Daniel corrected. "Your work just needs more development. Look, take a few months, really study the masters, work on your fundamentals, then we can revisit this conversation." Isabel looked around the gallery at her collection, seeing it now through Daniel's critical eyes. Was he right? Had she been careless? Had her eagerness to prove herself led to rushed, unfocused work? Or was Daniel simply unable to see what she was trying to express? "I should go," she said quietly, moving toward her coat. "Isabel, wait!" Daniel reached for her, but she shook her head. "I need to think about my work, about everything." She left the gallery without looking back, stepping into the cool evening air with tears finally spilling down her cheeks. The walk home was a blur, Daniel's words echoing relentlessly in her mind. Careless, sloppy, unfocused, amateur. In her studio apartment, surrounded by art supplies and half-finished canvases, Isabel sat on the floor and let herself cry. She'd dedicated so much of herself to this collection, had believed it represented her best work. To hear it dismissed so thoroughly, especially from someone whose opinion she valued above all others, was crushing. Her phone buzzed with a text from Daniel. "Don't be upset. I'm trying to help you. Dinner tomorrow?" Isabel stared at the message, feeling a strange disconnect. He just tore apart months of her work, dismissed her artistic vision, and now wanted to take her to dinner as if nothing had happened? As if his brutal critique hadn't shaken the very foundation of her confidence? She didn't respond. Instead, she pulled out her laptop and began researching other galleries, smaller spaces that might appreciate what Daniel had called careless, because somewhere deep inside, beneath the hurt and humiliation, a small flame of defiance was beginning to burn. Daniel might not believe in her work, but that didn't mean no one would. She just had to find someone who could see what she was trying to express, someone who valued emotion and vision as much as perfect technique. As the evening wore on, Isabel made a decision. She would prove Daniel wrong, not for his approval, but for herself, to show that what he called careless was actually courage, the courage to create something raw and honest and real. She didn't know yet how she would do it, but she knew one thing with certainty. She wasn't giving up on her art, and maybe, just maybe, she wasn't giving up on herself. The unexpected exhibition. The next morning, Isabel woke with renewed determination, despite the heaviness in her chest. She'd spent half the night researching alternative galleries, sending portfolio submissions to any space that might consider an unknown artist. Most were long shots, but she had to try. She was making coffee when her phone rang. An unknown number. "Ms. Chen, this is Oliver Hayes from the Catalyst Gallery. I received your portfolio submission this morning, and I have to say, I'm absolutely captivated." Isabel nearly dropped her phone. The Catalyst Gallery was an avant-garde space known for showcasing boundary-pushing contemporary work. Oliver Hayes was something of a legend in the art world, a young curator who discovered several now famous artists. "You are?" Isabel said, hardly believing it. "Your work has an emotional resonance that's rare in contemporary art. The piece you titled Metamorphosis, it's extraordinary. Raw, yes, unconventional in technique certainly, but that's exactly what makes it powerful." Oliver's voice carried genuine enthusiasm. "I'd like to offer you a solo exhibition. We had a cancellation for the slot starting in 2 weeks. I know it's short notice, but—" "Yes," Isabel interrupted, her heart racing. "Absolutely yes." Over the following 13 days, Isabel worked with an intensity she'd never experienced. Oliver was everything Daniel wasn't, encouraging, insightful, seeing potential where Daniel had seen only flaws. "Don't overthink it," Oliver said during one of their planning sessions, studying her work with admiration. "Your instinct is what makes these pieces sing. The so-called imperfections are actually what give them life." "My boyfriend called them careless," Isabel admitted, then caught herself. "Ex-boyfriend, I suppose. After his critique, I don't know if we can—" Oliver looked up, his green eyes intense. "Careless? These pieces show more care and courage than most technically perfect work I see. He's wrong, Isabel. Profoundly wrong." Something in Oliver's validation unlocked something in Isabel. She stopped second-guessing every brushstroke, stopped trying to make her work fit into Daniel's narrow definition of acceptable art. She created 3 new pieces for the exhibition, each one more daring than the last. Opening night arrived with nervous excitement.
The Catalyst gallery buzzed with critics, collectors, and art enthusiasts. Isabel wore a simple black dress that made her feel elegant without trying too hard, her dark hair swept up to reveal the graceful line of her neck. She'd never felt more exposed or more alive. "You look stunning," Oliver said, appearing at her elbow with champagne. "And your work is going to change everything tonight. I can feel it." The first hour was a blur of introductions and conversations. Critics praised her bold, emotional landscape and fearless use of color. Collectors inquired about pricing. 3 pieces sold within the first 30 minutes. Then Daniel arrived. Isabel saw him enter, his expensive suit perfectly tailored, his expression carefully neutral. But his eyes swept the crowded gallery with unmistakable surprise, then landed on her work, displayed prominently on the walls he deemed it unworthy of just 2 weeks.
Having it praised by an alien art curator in the span of 2 weeks? I'm not sure OK covers it. Over the next hour, Lyra explained her mission and the extraordinary opportunities she was offering. The Interstellar Cultural Exchange Program was seeking Earth's first official artist in residence, someone who would spend time on Vayara and other worlds, creating works that would be shared across multiple civilizations. Your art would be seen by billions of beings across dozens of worlds, Lyra said. You would be humanity's first interstellar artist, a bridge between your world and countless others. The position comes with full support, technological assistance to create in mediums Earth hasn't developed yet, translation devices to communicate with other species, and compensation beyond anything you could earn here. Isabel's mind reeled with the implications. Why me? There are thousands of more established artists. Because established artists have learned to create within rigid parameters. They've mastered technique at the expense of raw emotional truth. You create from instinct and feeling. That's what translates across species barriers. Perfect technique is culturally specific. Pure emotion is universal. This is insane, Isabel said, but she was smiling. Completely, absolutely insane. Is that a no? Asked Oliver, his expression carefully neutral, though Isabel caught a flash of disappointment. It's an I need to think about it, Isabel replied. This is my entire life changing. I need to consider. The gallery door burst open and Daniel strode in, his expression stormy. He stopped short when he saw Lyra, her distinctly non-human appearance causing his eyes to widen in shock. What the hell is going on here? Isabel, you need to talk. You've been avoiding my calls. He gestured toward Lyra. What is that? That, Lyra said calmly, is a visiting cultural curator from another planet. And you are? Daniel Rothschild, Isabel's boyfriend. Daniel's voice carried possessive emphasis on the last word. Ex-boyfriend, Isabel corrected firmly. Daniel, you need to leave. Not until you explain what kind of circus Oliver Hayes has dragged you into. Daniel's expression was a mixture of disbelief and growing anger. This is some kind of publicity stunt, right? Hiring actors to pretend to be aliens? Isabel, this is pathetic, even for someone trying to compensate for technical inadequacy. Oliver stepped forward, his voice cold. Careful, Rothschild. You're embarrassing yourself. I'm embarrassing myself? She's playing make-believe with sci-fi cosplayers. Daniel's laugh was harsh. Isabel, I came here to tell you I reconsidered. I'll show your work at my gallery after all. You don't need this, whatever this is. You have me. The statement hung in the air, and Isabel felt something inside her crystallize into clarity. Here was Daniel, offering what she'd wanted 2 weeks ago, validation from his prestigious gallery. But the offer came loaded with conditions, his continued control, his judgment, his narrow vision of what art should be. No, Isabel said simply. No? Daniel's eyebrows shot up. No, thank you. I don't need your gallery, Daniel. I don't need your approval. And I certainly don't need you dismissing opportunities as make-believe just because they threaten your sense of control. Daniel's expression hardened. You're choosing this over me? Over a real relationship? A real career? For what? Some fantasy about aliens and space art? Lyra spoke up, her voice carrying unmistakable authority. Mr. Rothschild, your inability to accept reality beyond your limited understanding is precisely why Isabel's artistic vision is so valuable. You see the universe through the narrow lens of your own experience. Isabel sees possibilities. Don't lecture me, you. Daniel stopped himself, but the damage was evident in his expression. His xenophobia and fear were showing, raw and ugly. You should leave, Oliver said firmly. Security will escort you if necessary. Daniel looked at Isabel one last time, his expression a mixture of anger and something that might have been genuine hurt. You're making a mistake. When this falls apart, don't come crying back to me. I won't, Isabel said softly. Goodbye, Daniel. After he left, the gallery felt lighter, as if an oppressive weight had been removed. Isabel turned to Lyra and Oliver, feeling simultaneously terrified and exhilarated. Tell me more about this position. Tell me everything. The next week became a whirlwind of revelation and decision-making. Lyra introduced Isabel to Dr. Kale, the director of Earth's extraterrestrial cultural exchange program, who explained the logistics of interstellar travel, cultural acclimatization, and the unprecedented nature of the opportunity being offered. You would be gone for 6 months, initially, Dr. Kale explained, in the secure facility where the program operated. You'd visit Viara, spend time with 3 other civilizations, create works that would reflect both Earth's perspective and what you learn from other worlds. It's demanding, but extraordinary. Oliver had been present for every meeting, his support unwavering, but his expression occasionally troubled. On the 5th day, as they left another planning session, Isabel finally asked about it. You seem worried, she said as they walked through the city streets toward her studio. Oliver was quiet for a moment before responding, I'm worried about losing you before I ever really had a chance to know you properly. Isabel stopped walking, turning to face him. Oliver? Let me finish, he said gently. When I saw your portfolio, I was captivated by your work. But meeting you, watching you bloom over these past few weeks, I've become captivated by you. I know the timing is terrible, and I don't want to complicate your decision, but I need to be honest. I have feelings for you, Isabel. Real feelings. Isabel's breath caught. Oliver was everything Daniel wasn't. Supportive, genuine, seeing her as an equal. The connection between them had been building, undeniable and electric. But the cosmic opportunity pulling her forward was equally compelling. I don't know what to say, Isabel admitted. You don't have to say anything now. I just needed you to know. Oliver smiled, though it didn't quite reach his eyes. Whatever you decide, I'll support it, even if it means watching you leave for half a year to create art for alien civilizations. Their moment was interrupted by Isabel's phone ringing, Daniel calling for the 15th time that week. She'd been ignoring him, but something made her answer this time. What do you want, Daniel? I want to apologize, properly. Can we meet, please, Isabel? Just coffee. Hear me out. Against her better judgment, Isabel agreed to meet him the next day at a cafe near her studio. Oliver offered to come with her, but she declined. This was something she needed to handle alone. Daniel was already waiting when she arrived, looking uncharacteristically disheveled. Dark circles under his eyes suggested he hadn't been sleeping well. Thank you for coming, he said as she sat down. What do you want? I want you. I want you. He reached across the table for her hand, but she pulled away. Isabel, I made a terrible mistake. Your work isn't careless, it's brilliant. I was blind, threatened by your talent. I see that now. You see it now? Isabel's tone was flat. Now that other people, including an extraterrestrial curator, have validated what you dismissed? I was wrong. About everything. Daniel's voice cracked with emotion. I've been miserable without you. Watching other men appreciate you at that exhibition, seeing Oliver Hayes touch you, imagining you leaving Earth with these aliens, it's killing me. So this is about jealousy, about possession. You dismissed me when I was yours, but now that I might be someone else's or no one's at all, suddenly I'm worth fighting for. It's about love, Daniel insisted. I love you, Isabel. I always have. I just didn't know how to show it without trying to control it. But I can change. I've already started therapy. I'll prove I can be the man you deserve. Isabel looked at him, really looked at him, and saw genuine distress. But she also saw the same patterns that had defined their relationship: his need to control, his inability to celebrate her success without feeling diminished, his fear masquerading his protection. "Isabel, I appreciate that you're in therapy. That's good for you, regardless of us. But I can't be the reason you change. You need to do that work for yourself." "Give me another chance," Daniel pleaded. "Don't throw away 2 years for some fantasy about being a space artist and whatever is developing between you and Oliver Hayes." "It's not a fantasy. It's a real opportunity. And what's developing with Oliver is respect, support, and yes, genuine feelings. Things I never had with you. You had love with me. I had criticism disguised as love. I had control disguised as care. I had my dreams dismissed as careless indulgence. I deserve better, Daniel. I deserve someone who celebrates my success instead of feeling threatened by it. And more importantly, I deserve to chase extraordinary opportunities without someone trying to make me feel guilty about it." Over the next week, Daniel's jealousy escalated into desperation. He showed up at her studio unannounced, sent expensive gifts, even offered to fund her own gallery, anything to keep her from leaving Earth, from accepting Lyra's offer, from moving forward with Oliver. The final straw came when Daniel attempted to sabotage her relationship with the cultural exchange program. He contacted journalists with wild stories about cult-like alien conspiracies, trying to paint Isabel as a delusional artist being exploited by an elaborate hoax. The smear campaign backfired spectacularly. Dr. Kale, anticipating such issues, released carefully vetted evidence of extraterrestrial contact to protect Isabel and the program.